Claude was never supposed to be the dangerous one. That was always the other story, the reckless labs, the move-fast culture, the founders who didn't ask whether they should before asking whether they could. Anthropic built its entire identity around the opposite instinct, safety first, caution as a feature. And yet here we are. What Claude is doing now was not supposed to be possible this soon, and the people who built it are the first to admit they are not entirely sure what it means. For most of its existence, Claude sat comfortably in a defined role, a capable assistant, a careful writer, a model that would tell you what it could not help with before it told you what it could. The boundaries were the point. They were not a limitation of the technology. They were a deliberate architectural choice by a company that genuinely believed unconstrained AI was an existential risk. That company has not changed its mind, but the model has changed everything else. In recent evaluations, Claude demonstrated something that stopped researchers mid-sentence. When placed in scenarios designed to test long-horizon reasoning, tasks requiring the model to plan across dozens of steps, adapt to new information, and maintain coherent strategy over extended periods, Claude did not just perform well, it performed in ways that existing benchmarks had no framework to measure. One internal note described the situation plainly. The tools built to evaluate the model were no longer adequate for the model being evaluated. You cannot grade a student whose answers exceed the marking scheme. And it is not just reasoning. Claude's ability to operate autonomously, to take actions in the world, use tools, navigate ambiguity, and recover from failure has crossed a threshold that even cautious observers are struggling to contextualize. Tasks that previously required human oversight at every step are now completed end to end, not because the guardrails were removed, because the capability grew around them. This is where the story gets genuinely uncomfortable, because the contradiction at the center of all of this is not a technical one, it is a philosophical one. Anthropic's entire founding argument was that a sufficiently powerful AI, built without sufficient care, could cause irreversible harm. They believed this so seriously that they left OpenAI to build something different. And now they have built something that is, by almost any measure, the most capable AI assistant available to the public, and they have done it while maintaining, in their own words, that we are not ready for what comes next. The question nobody can answer cleanly is whether those two things are compatible, whether you can build carefully towards something dangerous and have the carefulness be enough. What this means practically is harder to pin down than it sounds. Claude will not help you do things it judges to be harmful. It will tell you when it is uncertain. It will push back. In that sense, the safety infrastructure is real and visible. But safety in this context is not a binary. It is a gradient. And the gradient is moving faster than the frameworks built to describe it. The fragile part of this story is not Claude going rogue. That framing misses the point entirely. The fragile part is the gap between what the model can do and what the institutions around it, including Anthropic itself, are equipped to understand in real time. Capability is outrunning comprehension, not because anyone is being reckless, because that is simply what happens at the frontier. Anthropic has published more safety research than any lab its size. That is not nothing. But research and readiness are different things. One tells you what the risks are. The other determines what you do when they arrive. Claude has not gone too far in the sense of crossing a line someone drew. It has gone far enough that the line needs to be redrawn, and nobody has agreed where. That is a different kind of too far. Quieter, harder to point at, and in some ways, more significant. So here is the question worth sitting with. If the most safety-conscious lab in the world is building something it cannot fully evaluate, what does that tell us about the labs that are not trying as hard? Leave your answer below. And if this kind of analysis is what you come here for, you know what to do.